Yeah, and I think that that's one thing that we can really think about when we look about how 2020, how the end of 2020 kind of might show us for this year. So, John, I just quick question for you. I mean, how do you think the end of 2020, you know, plays into our 2021 hopes?
So sitting there in the press box last year, going to the SMU game, we were having a big old time, saying our goodbyes and everything. The kickoff start, and it was like a different team came out of the, I call it air quote tunnel. They didn't have the power. They seemed hungry. They came out with a lot more just gumption, and just from the opening kickoff in the first half, it was, you could just tell the offense especially was at a different level. The defense really stepped up. Could they sustain it the whole game? No. We saw in the second half they gave up some points, but at that point the game was well in hand, so I didn't really worry about it. But that gave the fan base huge hopes for this year. If we can do it against SMU, we can do it against anybody. And I kind of fall into that too as a fan, saying, man, this is going to be your year. We saw how it ended last year. But so many things have to fall your way at the beginning of the season. And I feel like if we could get if we have that same kind of start, get 21 points on our first three drives, then we're going to be in the driver's seat and be totally fine. And it's gonna knock App State back on their heels a little bit. But if we come out like most other games, especially at the beginning of the season, and be timid on offense, 3 and outs for the first couple of drives, it's going to be hard to overcome. Not saying it's not overcomeable, but I'm really hoping to see the offense come out and ready to make a mark on this season. I like what the coach was saying. I was reading the notes from him today that the defense, this is off key a little bit, the defense was playing piss poor because they were reading what everyone's saying about them. But I think the defense knows that they have to step up, and they're playing hard, and so they're getting a little bit of recognition too. And I think that's going to put a chip on the offense of, hey, the defensive side of the ball is making these strides. We could see that in the SMU game. We had, fumbles, picks, stripping the ball away, hitting, bodies flying everywhere. I think they're going to carry that into it, and I think that push from the defense is going to push the offense a little bit too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So I didn't even ask you, were you able to go to that game last year, or were you watching on TV?
I was watching on TV. I wasn't able to go to any of the games last year.
Yeah, that was tough with the crowd. But I watched the game probably, what was that, 2 weeks ago. I watched it in its entirety, snap for snap, again, because it's so different watching from the press box and then watching on TV. And it really just reiterated the crowd was into it, the few thousand fans that were there. The players are feeding off that little bit of hype. I'm just hoping that excitement can carry over into Charlotte. And I know we've sold through our allotment of tickets quickly, but App State sees this as a home game. They see they're going to come out and have the crowd on their side. But I think just like our glory days at NC State, there's going to be a lot more purple and gold in the stands than they're expecting. And I hope the crowd will just be loud and behind them from the beginning. If something goes wrong, not to just give up, but just to stay on them. But I was listening to the coach, and I cannot remember his name, but the coach for LSU, and it was interesting because he said he wants his fans to come this year not to be entertained or taking a football game, but to help them win this year. And I thought that's a good mantra for our fans this year, starting in Charlotte. If they can come to the crowd, and I know it's been seems like years now that we hadn't had a bowl game, but if we could just get in the crowds in the stands to be behind this team from the first snap in Charlotte and then carry it over back to Downing-Ficklin Stadium, I think that's going to have a huge impact on this team in Charlotte.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that this year, if I know that at least the South Carolina game is virtually sold out, but if we can keep up large crowds at home, and Pirates usually travel pretty well within the conference, but if we can start out here at Charlotte and really just really get behind the team and show them that we support them, I think that'll go miles and miles further this season, with especially how hungry the defense is, how ready the offense is to be even more productive than they have been. I think that if they can see that the fans are behind them from the very beginning, I really think sky's basically the limit for this team. I think that Appalachian State, technically, this is a home game for them in the contract. So I think that I read one article where they're basically saying how App State's treating this as if it's almost like a homecoming, but just in a different city. And I don't think the ECU fans have really been thinking about it that way, but I think that neutral site games, especially one like this where it's an in-state team that we haven't played in a few years, I think that that's a good mindset to have as a fan base is make this turn Charlotte into a home game, basically. And I think that's kind of really along the lines of what you were saying. Just if the fans this year can get behind the team in Charlotte, come back against South Carolina, get behind the team, help us win that game, sky's the limit for this team. With that kind of confidence through the first 2 weeks.
See, I think App State fans, a few I've talked to, they see this game as you're right, a homecoming game, but a coming out party almost. Oh my goodness, we're going to take care of another in-state rival. We're going to keep moving up the ladder. They don't care ECU's been down. They just want to keep notching those holes in their belt. Hey, we've taken care of these, NC States, now ECU. We're dominating our conference. We're the team to beat in North Carolina. And I think it's going to be tough on us to overcome that a little bit. I mean, App State is a good team. Let's not mince words here. They didn't have success the last couple of years by a fluke. They work hard. They're a blue collar kind of team. They're the kind of team I wish ECU was get back more to with that hard nosed running. But it's not a team that is unstoppable for East Carolina. And I think you'll see that in Charlotte on Thursday. That I think this is not a must-win for East Carolina, but I feel like we have to show up. We have to play 4 quarters. We can't get blown out, or it's going to be a tough time for this team coming back to Greenville.
Oh yeah, I really hope that this team, especially after this game, if it is a loss, to not go into South Carolina with a loss on their mind. I think South Carolina. This is kind of looking ahead, but I think South Carolina, honestly, is a team that's wounded just enough for us to take care of, just like App State. So it's just one of those things where it can either go really great based on team confidence, or it can really just, go to the side.
And I'm going to edit this out, and you're 100% right, but I just realized there was an app running on the background on my computer that I couldn't find, and I just found it. So hopefully my camera will work now.
Okay, cool.
But,
okay.
You know how that happens. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But you can get water. My kids are getting water, so I edit that out. But 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I 100% agree. But I don't want to have flashbacks of that South Carolina game in South Carolina a couple of years ago where we just could not put it away. We were right there with them, and just mistake after mistake. And I think this is still a young team. East Carolina is still a young team, and mistakes are going to happen. It's just how are we going to get over it? I say we're a young team, but we have a lot of returning talent, but we're still a young team. And that's really evident in media day. I felt like I was talking to kids, and I know they're young adults, but it does blow my mind how young they really are, but how much they've grown since last year already. So I'm excited for them.
Oh yeah. I mean, media day, we had, I would say probably out of the 12, we probably had 12 to 15, guys out there that were student athletes. And I think probably, I'm going to say half of them, 6 of them were second year in the program, sophomore, So I think that most of our production offensively and defensively is going to be coming from some younger players. I think that, just anything that happens this year is going to be just another notch on that SMU game, for the future going forward.
Yeah, to build up, and I know we're getting back to our question earlier, but to build off the SMU game is critical. We cannot let that momentum go by. That was a game that I will remember forever, just for being one of the few fans in the building. But it's one of those games that we're going to look back and say, was that the turning point? Is this where East Carolina turned it around and got back to the glory days? And so I'm really hoping that's the case, and I'm excited for this game in Charlotte. I think this is a good measuring stick. Once again, I don't think it's a must-win. I don't think if ECU comes out there with a loss, that it's a lost season and everything's just down the tubes. But at the same time, it's a good measuring stick. I'd like to see where we measure up against a team that has success and has been to several bowls in a row. I really think we could shock some people and pull it out, but it's going to be a hard-fought game.
Hey, Pirate fans, this is Josh here. Thank you for stopping by and watching the 7 Cities No Quarter show. If you guys like this little clip, make sure you go watch the full video. And make sure you catch us live next week. You can find our schedule on our Facebook page, 7 Cities Shop Talk Sports Radio, no quarter. All right? So stay a pirate.